let's not just be respectful, let's be nice. This is something that, there's a lot of nuance to this. It's not pro-Jesus and pro-death. It's also not pro-women and anti-women. Let's make that clear. There's more nuance to this than just right and left. So the actual prompt itself is, under what, if any circumstances, should a woman be allowed an abortion?
I think that, just for definite reasons that I believe in 100%, is that the woman is raped, or if it's a case of, it's like if it's the woman is going to die if she has a baby, or if there's a good chance of it. I think those are two very solid reasons for why she has the right to decide if she wants to have one or not. It wasn't her decision. She didn't want the pregnancy. It was, I mean, she can still choose to keep the baby, but it was it was not her choice to have one.
Well, using that logic, I mean, are you saying it wasn't her choice to have sex, or that it wasn't her choice to have a baby? Because you have to be really careful with your words there, because if you're saying it wasn't her choice to have a baby, if, someone goes out, has meaningless sex, and then gets pregnant on accident, they could be like, it wasn't my choice to have a baby.
You were saying that if you get raped, you weren't trying, there was no way, if it wasn't for the fact that you got raped, you wouldn't have a baby, and you weren't trying to go out and have sex.
And that's nothing you can control.
Yeah.
Well, in my belief, though I have not been in a situation of rape or a case where I've been pregnant and my life has been in danger, I can honestly say, as I'm sure, by the way, as a woman, I believe that any form of abortion, no matter the circumstance, is murder. I believe that if I had been in a situation where I was raped, though I obviously do not want that to happen, but if I was to be raped and to get pregnant, I would still want to have the baby, and I probably would not keep the baby, but I would give it up for adoption to a family who cannot get pregnant. And if in a circumstance where I was going to die and the baby was going to live, I would still have the baby. I would not want to end or murder a child's life in the case of my own. But I believe that any form of abortion is a murder. And obviously, murder is definitely wrong. Murder is illegal. So I believe that if we're looking at abortion as murder, abortion should be illegal as well, whether the circumstance.
When do you consider it murder? Like, when's the cutoff point?
Let's rephrase that. Sorry to cut you off, Mason. At what point is the embryo, at what point is the fetus a living person?
I believe the fetus is a living person, starting at the beginning. Right when conception happens, it's a life.
So Mason, I don't know what your beliefs on the whole subject are, but let's say something like what Mason said, that there are certain circumstances where it would be, maybe not okay, but where it would be permissible to have an abortion. Why is that all right for you? Is it because you do not consider fetuses to be people?
If, let's say, I had a daughter and she was raped, and she was pregnant, and she did not want to keep the baby, okay, because she did not want to carry the child of someone who had done such a wrong to her. She just couldn't get the thought of, out of her head, I was raped, this was unwanted, and I cannot love this baby.
The baby would also be the symbol of
What
that was
actually
caused from
happened.
being raped.
And I completely understand that. I completely understand that. That's
and
what you're going to have
some-
to think about for 9 months of your life. But I think having to live your entire life, 9 months, or living an entire life knowing that you killed, whether or not you want to believe it, it's still your child because you did carry it. I think that's a lot worse than carrying it for 9 months.
Okay, well then I would have to say that I think it should have be legal purpose for like the person to have to choose. Like Emily would be able to
Yeah,
choose.
they have the
I
choice.
don't want to have the abortion, while let's say my figurative daughter would want to have abortion.
Completely pro-choice, and I think it should be out, because I don't think a child should have to be born into an environment where it doesn't, the family doesn't really want it. And if you aren't allowed to have an abortion, if you don't want to have a kid, even if you weren't raped, and you may have made a bad decision in your life, personally I believe that should be your choice, whether than bring a child that you don't want and that may be born into a hostile environment, because when you think about it, a lot of times when it ends up being into not the greatest environment.
Sarah?
Well, this is obviously a discussion that, it comes down to a lot, personal beliefs. Like, there's no way to be completely biased about this, I think. Because, I believe, like Emily, that life starts at the moment of conception. I believe that it's really a human being that's developing. And there are some medical cases where, like, the baby is dead inside the mother. and it has to be
You're
removed.
still, you're terminating the
But
pregnancy,
it's, yeah,
but you're not.
so it's termed as an abortion. So I think like if you're looking at the legal status of that, I mean, you have to have a fine line and, you know, have a firm definition of what abortion is legally. But I also think that, I mean, we're focusing a lot on the mother, and I don't think we're focusing enough on the life. Because I mean, even if the mother gives it up to adoption, it might go to a really nice home and it might end up in tough environment. But I think that every life should have the chance to live.
I think pretty much everyone can feel some sympathy
Oh,
for
yeah.
someone who gets raped. and
Yeah.
pregnant. No one's like, well, it's her own damn fault. You know, wearing those slutty T-shirts. No one's coming out as unsympathetic to that situation.
Right.
The question is it legal to do this? And if it's murder, then it shouldn't be legal. And you have to be a living being to be murdered. So I think the key difference here is
What's the
Uh,
definition of living?
what are we defining as a living being?
Actually, you have to be a
What are-
living human
living
being.
human being. Yeah, we're not talking about hamsters.
No, I'd rather see a child in very early development within the womb to be aborted than be born and murdered by the parents, because I think that is, in that case, considered a full-on murder, like people who drown their
That's a
children
pretty
and other
extreme
things.
case.
It really is, but you know that's what I would. It's hard to word it correctly. How to
You're
word
classifying
it.
as different things. You're classifying
Yes.
the murder as
I
more
agree with
murder.
Emily.
I'm not an aborted baby. I don't know what it feels like or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I can say that it's not, peachy or whatever. It's not going to be some easy thing. That baby's going to go through pain, you know?
Well, a baby does not have a.
This is all on debate over fetal pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
I'll
it's-
get to that, but yeah, we do have some data. We don't.
I posted an article on the page, something about that. There is a lot of dispute in the medical community about when a fetus feels pain. Like when a developing baby starts to feel pain. Because it focused a lot on Great Britain. I believe they allow
Yeah,
abortions
that's
up to like 24 weeks. Like there was new research that came out recently that said that, you know, at 20 weeks, quite possibly, the fetus, it feels pain. If you look at like how abortions happen, especially at these later periods, like if it's possible that the fetus feels pain at 20 weeks, then, and that's that late in the pregnancy, then that fetus, that developing baby, is feeling its limbs being ripped off and its body being torn apart.
How long?
How is it-
How many weeks is it before you
You
definitely
can
know you're
tell.
pregnant? You definitely.
Well, I would think that a woman's menstrual period would be thrown off. Mrs. Bromberg, is that true?
What?
Would you know that
Menstrual period
you're
would be thrown
pregnant
off.
at some point simply because your menstrual period's thrown off?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
In fact, if you are paying very close attention because you're interested in such a thing, your temperature changes, and you know before a pregnancy test will register positive. So you really could know within, a couple weeks.
What's like the? Well, when will you definitely know?
It's like a
is it
month.
is it five
We would
weeks?
know by a
I
month
would
or.
say you could know with certainty, even that, now they time it from the date of your last period, because everybody's schedule is different, but, I think that you could know with pretty decent certainty at 5 weeks.
Alright.
But if you're paying attention, you could know within days, really.
I wish I had a week-by-week analysis of the development of the fetus. I don't. Almost all this, like I was saying, is on fetal pain. There is argument. It always depends on who you ask. Who you ask. They term it very nicely, neonatal analgesia. The fetus feeling pain. Evidence against experience of pain. Okay. The problem with the fetal pain argument is that up to a certain point, and we're talking like week 26, the parts of the brain that are needed for consciousness, for full awareness, to experience the pain, will not have developed fully, and the baby is not going, I almost call it the fetus, which is the creepy part because same thing. Even a while after birth, the baby is not going to fully experience pain. Which is why they lived through that trauma. I don't know how we did that.
We all